Okay, welcome back to our lesson about Pong, creating a Pong game on Scratch. Last lesson we went through and talked about a few different things about how to make a ball that started in the middle of the game, and that if it went to the edge it bounced off and it moved 7 steps, and it was changing the direction of it. Then we went through and we made these paddles, and remember when we made the paddles we had our paddle on this side which it was controlled by the mouse. So the X stayed the same, and the Y, the up and down, was controlled by if your mouse went up and down. Then we went into the other sprite, the third one, and we said that the computer one was controlled by setting the Y position to sprite 1, which basically means this paddle over this side moves at the same, whatever's happening with the ball, it's moving the same way. So if the ball moves down, their sprite moves down. We also went through with this one and we talked about if the ball was touching sprite 2 or sprite 3, it would turn around 180 degrees and go back. Now let's talk firstly about some of the problems that we have with this. Firstly, when you have a game like this, what you'll see is it's actually really hard to win or lose because the ball just keeps going back into the same place. The second thing we're doing is we've realized we've actually made the computer too good by their paddle moving in the exact place that the ball is going. It means that it cannot lose. So let's try to fix a few of those things. Firstly, let's think about how the ball's turning. At the moment, because the ball keeps turning in the same way, it means we don't get this random ball going around. We just keep going back and forth. So how can we fix that? Well, what we can do is we can fix that by when it says turning 180 degrees, we're probably best that it doesn't always turn at the exact same degrees each time. So instead of doing 180, what you can do is you can see this one here which says pick random number. So we're going to put that pick random number in there, and we're going to say anywhere between 150 degrees and 210 degrees. Now that means that each time it bounces off, you don't know which one it's going to bounce, and you'll find that, here we go, sometimes it bounces off straight, other times it bounces off really randomly. Now we've got a game that's a bit harder to win or to lose because it's not just doing the same exact angle each time you hit it. So firstly, we've fixed that problem. So that's one good thing. The second thing we haven't fixed yet is how to defeat the computer, because at the moment the computer's winning because it's basically we've coded it so it can't lose. Let's go into the coding of Sprite 3 and see if we can fix it. So what we could do is we could actually make the paddle a little bit behind. So in the control section, with this we could make it so it waits a second. So instead of moving straight away, it's kind of lagging at 1 second behind. So let's have a look at this one now. If we go now it actually doesn't move for like a second afterwards. But there's a few things wrong with this now. Now you've got this really jolty sort of paddle, and it doesn't really look like it's sort of gliding properly. It looks like it's just like randomly moving. Plus, it's actually losing pretty badly. It seems to be getting stuck behind this one now. So let's try and fix that. What we could do is instead of having it set to the Y position, we could have it gliding. So when we have glide, we're going to have it gliding instead. Now we're going to keep the Y position the same because we're happy with this paddle being exactly this part of the screen, but it's the Y one that we're not necessarily happy with. So when it says the X, we're going to leave the X the same, and in the Y block, we're just going to drop this part here, that now the Y one is going to be the same as that. So that basically means that instead of moving, it's just going to glide. So hopefully now, we're hoping that it's starting to look, can you see that it's starting to look a little bit smoother? But now we've actually made the computer really not good at all. So, like I said before, if you're having problems, slow it down, pause it, rewatch it. But hopefully if you're still up to what we were doing, we're going to keep going a bit further. So you can see here that we've made the computer now not good. So instead of gliding 1 second and waiting for a second, we're going to bring that down because it's actually too far behind. So let's see if we make it wait 0.3 seconds and it glides 0.3 seconds. So what we should do now, you can see here, oh my gosh, it keeps getting stuck. Let's try again. Okay, oh my gosh, look at that angle. That angle is seriously worrying. Alright, let's change the direction of the... Oh, no, wrong one. Wrong one. Let's change the direction of the ball. Why is it like that? Okay, now let's start. Here we go. Alright, so now we can see that it's just a little bit sort of behind, but now it's kind of made an even between me and the computer. So he's kind of, I know it's a bit jolty, but it's not as jolty as before. And now we're really in a contest, and see, it can lose there, but most of the time it's actually quite accurate. So I've made a competitive game. The only problem with is if I let this go, nothing happens. Now, I have watched a few YouTube tutorials on how to make a Pong game and to see if how they would make a character win or lose. And the only real thing I've come up with, well, I've come up with a way which I think would be easier than some of the other ways. So let's do that and see how we go. What we're going to do is we're going to make a new sprite. And the new sprite we're going to make is going to be a really, really long, sorry, I don't know what's going on there. It's going to be a really long rectangle. It's going to be colored like this. So we're going to make the outline red, and we're going to fill it in completely red. Yep. Okay, and we're going to make this character over here. We can even duplicate the same thing on the other side. There. Okay, so now basically we've got these two other lines that if it gets behind there and hits those red lines, that we're going to win or lose. But we haven't actually taught anything how to do that. Let's go back and let's make a new line of coding, which is basically when we're going to put a forever block in there. If the ball hits something, so if the ball touches, which one's this one called? That one's the first one, which is sprite 5. Yep, happy with that. If it touches sprite 5, we want it to say you lose. So we haven't done that yet. So let's make a new background. Let's make a new background, which basically just says you lose. Put that in the middle. There. Okay. And if we'll make another background as well, this next one's going to be you win. And we'll move that into the center as well. Okay, so now we've got to go back and do a few things. Firstly, we've got it now, because we've made different backgrounds, we have to do what we did before, which is when we start the game, we want it to start on the first background. Yeah, great. Okay, and now that we've got those win and lose backgrounds, we're going to have that if it touches this one, sprite 5, it means we've lost. So if it touches that sprite, we want it to switch to back. No, sorry, not switch to. Switch to backdrop. Was it 5, 3? I think it's 2. I think it was 2 because we made, yep. And we'll do the same thing again, except this time if it hits the other sprite, which is sprite 6, which is the one we're trying to hit, and if it touches that one, we win. So we want it to go, no, wrong way. That would be backdrop 3. That's backdrop 2, because that's if we win. All right, let's check it out. Let's see how we go. I don't know what's going on that crazy angle. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, see that? It says we won, which was actually the wrong one. It should say we lost, shouldn't it? I think we did it the wrong way. That's good. I can easily change that if there's a problem. Let's see if we win this one. That would say we lose. Okay, so let's swap them around. That must be backdrop 3, and that must be backdrop 2. Okay, great. But the only problem is this game's still going. So we've got to make sure that if we do win, that we stop everything. Or whether we win or lose, we stop everything. Let's have a look at our game and see if our game's ready to finish. Oh, it's getting close now. It's getting tense. See if we can do this. I think I've got him. You win. Excellent. So our game's pretty much finished. You can go through and you can adapt your game, change your paddles around, change your colors around, make it a little bit more sound effect based. So when it hits, when it comes off the paddle, it makes sounds. I'm just showing you how to make a game that's fully functional. So if we quickly go back and talk about a few of the things we did in this lesson. What we did in this lesson was really important is firstly, we talked about the idea that The computer paddle was too hard to beat. So instead of just letting it move, we made it wait for a 3.3 seconds before it decided to move, and then instead of it just jolting around, it glided. So we made sure we went up and put a glide in there, but we kept this block here and we put that in the spot of the Y. The other thing we did also in this one was we went through and we created the two different sprites for win or lose, and then we just did a simple sensing one. So if it touched one of them, it said we win. If we touched the other one, we said we'd lose. We also went back then and we made sure that when we reset the game, it always switches back to the first one here, like that. The last thing we did also, sorry, is that instead of turning around 180 degrees, we put in a random thing. So it turned anywhere between 150 to 200 degrees to make sure it wasn't just doing that same repeat one back and forth, back and forth. So now you've made a game in which you sort of are trying to dodge different sorts of balls around, and now we've made our own Pong game. We're kind of making a whole bunch of different games so that when we do decide to make our own project, you can make that decision as to which sort of game you would like to do. I hope this has been helpful. If you need any extra help, I can go through it more later. Thanks for watching.